This should be a third installment in the Objective Morality series, connected to some other videos. I'll try to post some links over there. Hopefully I'll get to it. But anyway, alright, summarizing where we are. There's two kinds of ethics or morality, in my opinion. One is a social contract. It doesn't really have anything to do with absolutes. It just has to do with what is practical, what is required for human animals to live with each other. The kind of law and order necessary for there to be freedom and civility and all these things we enjoy. The second kind of morality has to do with an individual's absolute or objective responsibilities, or the definition of an individual's productivity, their impact on the world they live in, their objective efficiency in how they function as a human being, whether they live a good life or a bad life, or how good a life they live. Some people probably won't even concede it's possible to live a bad life. But anyway, and that morality, that ethics, is probably based, in my opinion, on some evaluation of the concept of harm, suffering, pain, need, want, where you would have to, in your life, prevent or eliminate or appease or in some way diminish more suffering, more pain, more need, more want, more harm than you cause. So it's a simple equation in one sense, complex in the nuances involved in trying to define what harm is, even trying to define what true deprivation is. It's very complicated. So I guess just in exploring some hypotheticals, sometimes we can get a better idea of exactly where on a scale certain events are, what they really mean in terms of their significance, how much of what we consider an accomplishment or a value is built into how much of it is desire, how much of it is the want itself, and how much of it is a reality for the accomplishment, how much of it has real meaning in terms of just an experience. If you took away the desire and just gave the experience, what would the experience itself be worth? I mean, you could almost argue this with there's lots of things in our lives. I mean, it's the gratification of the moment versus the maybe years of wanting. And so obviously the gratification becomes important because it appeases years of wanting. So without the context of the want, the gratification itself might not mean that much. Like I say, let's just explore some hypotheticals. Maybe you'll want to express your opinion, how you might deal with some of these questions. It's all like the big red button videos from before, but a little different. So let's start with, let's say you had a life to create. It was going to be your son, daughter, whatever, your thing. You had the control. You had the button to press that would say, yes, create that life, or no, don't create that life. And so say the person's going to be essentially like you, except they're just going to live 10 days. And they're going to live the 5 worst days of your life and the 5 best days of your life. So if you can try to imagine or remember the 5 worst days and the 5 best days. And would you press that button? Would you initiate that life form? Would you give that life under that circumstance, in that context? Another question might be, if you've seen the movie The Matrix, or understand the concept of, living a fake life in a perfect world, let's say. Let's say it is perfect. You're living this great life in a software program, a dream life. and you know, you're having all these great experiences. Maybe, you know, you're just one erotic experience after the next. You know, there's just you know, really great, really satisfying, enjoyable, a great soap opera, however you want to describe it. You're living a great life in a fake world, entirely contrived, run by a computer. Would you wake yourself up if it was you? Would you want somebody to wake you up if it was you, and drag you back to a darker reality where you weren't, you know, you're fat, bald, you know, hippie, whatever, ugly, stupid. Yeah, you just didn't have a great life. You had kind of a rough, mediocre life. But it was real. It was the real life. It was real life instead of a fake life. Would you want somebody to wake you up? And the second question would be, if it was somebody you cared about that was in that circumstance, they're living in a perfect, software-driven life, would you take that person you care about, and not care in a desirous way, not care because you want them to be part of your life, but just you care about them, you want the best for them, like a son or a daughter. Would you drag them back to reality? Would you say, they're better off in the real world and not a fake world? It is, when we're talking about ethics or morality, it really is about your productivity. It is about your impact on the world, your how you function, what you accomplish, what you're implicated in, you know, the destiny that you alter. Another concept I thought of was inertia, and the idea that we're sort of attached to staying in whatever mode we're in. We don't like change, and we sort of resist. Like, if we're in the game, we want to stay in the game. If we're full of desire, we want to stay full of desire. And so another question I would ask is that, you know, if, I mean, people obviously choose to live under this circumstance, so I don't know how to exactly phrase the question, but let's say you had to live as a neutered male. You know, that was going to be taken away from you. All desire, all sexual desire was going to be stripped of you. So it was going to cause you no more grief and no more pleasure. Would you want to live that life? I mean, obviously people choose to. They don't just, you know, kill themselves all the time if that happens. Here's another question. If we could create, you know, it wouldn't be a matter of creating a human life. It would just be a matter of creating a consciousness, an artificial consciousness. We had the power to do it. And, you know, you could just press a button and create it and activate it. If it had a mimic the human life, wherein it endured pain and suffering and to accomplish what are pretty arbitrary, you know, fulfilling pretty arbitrary needs, like it just artificial needs it had, you know, a dozen of them. It needed food, or it needed this, or it thought it needed these things. Obviously it was an artificial consciousness, so it didn't have any real needs. I mean, would you press the button? I mean, we've got 6 billion people on the planet. Do we need to create more consciousness? Is consciousness itself the thing that we value? Or is there something else? I mean, what is it exactly that we feel compelled to create more of? And even if it was a very nice conscious life, would there be any point in making the motion to press the button, even expending that much energy to produce it? It's not accomplishing anything, it's just experiencing. And is experience innately that valuable? So sorry, I didn't phrase that one very well. So yeah, I guess that's it. Just no point in, well, I'm running out of time anyway, and I talk pretty rambly. So sorry, this is kind of a ramble. Wasn't a very articulate presentation, but you know, it happens. So anyway, it is complex. It's what exactly is driving us? What exactly is compelling us to see value in the things we see value in? And is it real?